Hi, this is Carrie from Accounts Payable, and I'm here today to talk to you about travel document training. To get to our Accounts Payable website and the travel section of that, go to the EOU homepage, www.eou.edu. Click on Faculty Staff, and then click on Finance and Administration, and then go over and click on Accounts Payable. And there's a link under Documents, Forms, and Policies, and that will take you directly to our Accounts Payable document page. To get to Travel, you scroll down to the Travel section. The first thing that you should probably look at is the Travel Summary. The Travel Summary and procedures should be able to answer most questions related to travel. On the right, you can see that there's a quick guide to tell you the distance from a lot of the locations that people typically travel to from La Grande. This includes a few Idaho and Washington cities. It gives you the account codes that will be used, and those are broken down according to what kind of travel you're doing. It gives the meal per diem rates as well as the lodging rates, how to calculate what meals you are allowed depending on when the trip began and when the trip ended. And then there's also a breakdown of all of the different travel forms that are available and which ones are required, as well as the documentation that is required. Travel Authorization and Advance Form. And this form is essentially permission and acknowledgement that an employee is traveling on university business. So submission of an authorization and advance form is required for all university travel, even if there is no request for university funding. Section 1 and Section 2 of this form must be completed and signed by the traveler and budget authority prior to any travel. So it just gives the basic information about your trip, the purpose of your trip, your name, what department you're from, when you're going, and where you're going. And so then you're going to sign as the employee, and then your budget authority is going to sign under department head approval. Section 2 is estimating your trip expenses. This doesn't have to be exact. If you're driving your own personal vehicle, you can include mileage, and then you should total out any expenses that you expect to have. If you need a travel advance, you'll complete Section 3. This is where you give the amount that you would like your advance to be for. If you want to pick up a check or have it direct deposited, we only mail travel advance checks upon request. You will include your department index, and then you will sign at the bottom. Advances will not be made for an amount less than $100, and if an advance was issued, a travel reimbursement or requisition must be submitted to accounts payable within 30 days of the conclusion of the trip. The reimbursement will itemize all your trip expenses, and any outstanding advance will be deducted from the total trip expenses. If an advance amount was in excess of your trip costs, then the overage will need to be repaid by the traveler. And you can give me a call if you think that you need to repay an amount from an advance. And now I'm going to click on the travel requisition. And this requisition should be completed at the conclusion of a trip. It can be done in place of a travel reimbursement, and as you can see, the requisition requires the traveler to give trip details rather than itemizing expenses. So here you will give the purpose of your travel, your departure and return dates and times, where you left from, what your destination was, and then you will just give the details of your trip. It also includes filing instructions and the policies and documentation that is required for this form. Any trip expenses that were paid with a departmental procurement card should not be included on the requisition. And once the requisition is completed, it should be signed by the claimant, which is the traveler, and forwarded to your college dean for the dean's signature. The documentation that must be submitted with the requisition includes a conference or meeting agenda, lodging receipts, and any other receipts for miscellaneous expenses, such as cab fare, airfare, conference registration, or baggage charges. Meal receipts are not required, as the traveler will receive per diem. If a personal vehicle was driven, fuel receipts are not required either, as the traveler will be reimbursed for mileage. A travel authorization must also be on file in accounts payable before the requisition, and subsequent reimbursement will be entered for payment. And now I'm going to go through the travel reimbursement form, and rather than clicking on the form itself, I'm going to click on the example. And this travel reimbursement should be completed at the conclusion of a trip. And as you can see, the reimbursement requires the traveler to give trip details as well as itemize the expenses for their trip. And this includes departure date and time, return date and time. The reimbursement has a place for your personal vehicle mileage. You can claim per diem for your meals. You can claim your lodging expenses. And the form should total all of your expenses for you as you're filling in the numbers. The other expenses portion of the reimbursement is for any miscellaneous expenses you may have. That includes the taxes for your lodging, taxi fares, airfare, conference registrations, baggage claims, any of those sorts of expenses. And that will give you a subtotal for your trip expenses. If an advance was issued, the advance amount should be subtracted here, and that will give you the net amount for your reimbursement. If the advance you were issued was in excess of the trip costs, you will need to repay that overage. Once the reimbursement is complete, it should be signed by the claimant and forwarded to your budget authority for their signature. The documentation that must be submitted with the reimbursement includes a conference or meeting agenda, lodging receipts, and any other receipts for miscellaneous expenses. A travel authorization must be on file in accounts payable before a reimbursement will be entered for payment. So if you have any questions, go to our website at www.eou.edu/bizserv or email us at ap@eou.edu or call us at 541-962-3856. Thank you for watching.